Make someone happy, make just one someone happy, make just one heart.
I started playing guitar when I was about 12 years old, I suppose. My dad is a player on the scene, Nigel Mooney, also a singer and a great guitar, great singer and great guitarist. And my mum is a singer as well, so it was kind of always simmering in the background as something maybe I could try my hand at someday. The guitar is something I picked up much earlier. Got into Jimi Hendrix probably and when I was about 11 or 12 and just became obsessed. And I grew up in a great little town called Kilcool where there was this... I remember saying to my dad, there's no musicians around. I've got a guitar and I want to play with some musicians. And he said, don't worry, they're all going to show themselves pretty soon, you know. Don't worry, they're out there. And I was a bit bummed out because I don't have people to play with. And suddenly, you know, within about a year, I met about 200 people in my tiny little village, all into this punk rock, hardcore stuff. So we had a great scene, great like introduction to playing live music, all ages gigs in the Scout Hall. And you'd go down and record your track with one of the guys and he'd make a CD or a tape, like a cassette, of all the bands who were playing at the gig. And so this was a great introduction to music, recording and playing live and meeting people and writing music. So for the first 10 years or so, it was all riffy. I don't need lessons. I don't want to play scales. That's for another crowd altogether. We just want to go and it was so much fun. It was amazing. But eventually, you know, I started, I was checking out what my dad was doing all the time and really enjoyed his playing and, you know, all the music he was starting to show me, you know, blues musicians and Freddie King, B.B. King, Albert King, and then that would lead into Grant Green and George Benson, and he was showing me how the blues language was being used in another context, and Jimi Hendrix and all that as well. I was already familiar with that sound, and then he was saying, well, here's Grant Green, here's Kenny Burrell, here's George Benson, here's Wes Montgomery, and I was going, all right, so this is... And I realised that's what he was doing then, using blues language in a kind of a bebop-y sort of way. And then I just decided that at that point I should, you know, he said, you know, New Park's there is a place you can go and study this stuff and it's not too far up the road. So, yeah, the rest is history, I suppose. Yeah, that's me, and I started singing. Some people encouraged me to start singing in college, you know, in the ensemble. There was no singer. And I was maybe teasing with the idea of doing a Chet tune or something. We were all getting into that record. So I started doing that. Yeah, I like to sing. I've never studied it. I've never taken it so seriously, but I really enjoy it.
When you found her, build your...
The band Organ Freeman formed, well, Darragh Hennessy and I, Darragh on organ, we met in first year in college studying together, and we've been playing together ever since. He's a piano player, and I can't remember at what stage, probably, I don't know, 8 or 10 years ago, maybe he got an organ, and we had a gig on the MV Killarney, which was a big boat up the Liffey there where you can go, and it's a pub and restaurant and stuff. We got a gig there, and he brought the organ along, and suddenly we started having real fun with it, and we started looking at a different set. For my style of playing and everything, there was just a much more freedom, and the thing that I was coming from, which was a bluesier thing from my dad, suddenly kind of gave me license to be able to play that stuff, and it's not so heavy on the changes, and although, you know, we play standards and all that sort of stuff, but so that was the beginning of that. Darragh got I think it was a really cool sounding thing, but it was a cheap thing he got second hand, and eventually he started to take it really seriously, and he got the Mojo, I think it's called. I mean, he got both Mojo and Mojo. And so we got another gig then in a place called the Mission Bar, which isn't far from here in Stoneybatter, on the Quays. And we had a residency in there for a while. Peter Dobai, who was a great tenor saxophone player who lived here for a while, he lived upstairs, and he would, you know, it was just a nice vibe. He'd come down and we'd do a set. Brendan Doherty was on that gig. And then one day we were told the gig was being axed, and in the same weekend we actually never even lost one Sunday. Fuelon Collins, who's a great drummer, rang us up and said, I've got a gig in this new bar that's opening up called The Big Romance. You and Darragh played together a lot, and you've got a repertoire ready, you know, would you be up for doing a trio? But The Big Romance was such a good vibe, and nice people coming down, really nice space, good sound. Everybody was there listening and enjoying it, and we started getting really kind of enthused then and started working on stuff, and God, I don't know, yeah, just suddenly got this energy about us to go like, let's texting each other, let's learn this for next week. And it was that thing that I'd kind of been missing. I'd left college a few years, and it was a bit kind of like, I don't know, you know, there's not many gigs around, and like I don't feel myself getting any better or having any reason to even practice because I'm not playing, or I don't know. And suddenly this gig changed all that in me, certainly, and we started having fun. A couple of years later, Fuelon moved to Berlin to pursue more you know, studies and playing and stuff. So he's over there now, and then we got Dominic Mullan, who's the current drummer in. And even then, with Dominic's kind of different take on music and playing, we started developing more stuff, and you know, the band's changed completely even since he came along. You know, we keep on trying to develop the set and bring people down to play and get guests in, and we have jam sessions whenever we can come up with a good enough reason to do it, like at Christmas or sometimes the anniversary of the bar, and we just invite people down to play and have fun. We love this record called, I think it's called Boss Organ by Melvin Ryan's quartet. Peter Bernstein's on guitar and Joshua Redman is on tenor saxophone, and it's just so cool, and it's exactly what we were doing. It's not, there's no heavy arrangements or anything like that. It's kind of bluesy stuff and the odd standard, a nice ballad and something modal, and it was kind of just, we were like, that's what we're doing, and we're just trying to be true to that organ trio traditional thing. And then Michael Buckley became kind of one of the regular guests anyway. It's usually trio, and maybe once a month or every 6 weeks we'll get somebody down. And inevitably we called Michael eventually, and we did maybe 2 or 3 gigs and just had a blast, you know. Yeah, so we got Michael on board, which was very exciting. And to be honest, we didn't have to put a whole lot of thought into what we were going to do, because we had, well, except for maybe we thought we should put some originals on there, because we had an enormous set of stuff that was tight and that we were really enjoying, and we knew the punters were really enjoying. Like we knew like that one always goes down really well, and that we have to put that on. And, you know, we probably had too much to choose from, because we knew there was so much stuff. We'd had the luxury of being able to play it every week and knowing what we're enjoying, what they're enjoying. And it was more so a sense of, can we just capture what we do at the Big Romance, you know? It wasn't like, let's start a new project and let's put loads of thought into something else. Like the inspiration for it came from like, let's just capture what we have right now at this moment in time. In a year we'll be a different band with a different set and we'll all play a bit differently, but right now we're having a lot of fun with this music, so let's just record it, you know. Except for that, as I said, writing a few tunes. Darragh had already written 1 or 2 that we started bringing into the set, so they were no-brainers. A nice funk tune which became the title track of the album, Busy Work. That's the first track on the album. And he wrote another one, a really nice slow blues, which I reckon, you know, there's a lovely slow blues on Boss Organ called Hattusha's Blues, and we were playing that for a while. It was kind of like 50 BPM, and it was a real challenge, and it was fun. And I think Darragh's thinking, and it was like, why don't we do our own slow blues? And, you know, if you're gonna just do a blues here and a funk tune there, why not put your own stamp on it? So that was our thinking. And a modal tune, I said I'll write something modal, you know. So that's where Moonlight Dames came from, which is an anagram of something modal. But otherwise, yeah, it's about half and half originals, and then stuff like crowd favourites that we'd done in the bar, like that people would always request and we love playing. So it was kind of easy. It was easy to pick the tunes. So we recorded all that in Michael's studio, the House of Horns. And then, yeah, so it's like actually as of today, although today is not today where you are, I believe the Gravy Waltz is being released. Darragh's kind of taking care of all that stuff, so I think you'll be well familiar with that track by now, I'm sure. Yeah, so that's exciting. But I thought initially, like, oh, this would be great. Put a record out with the band. Michael's going to record, and I kind of thought we can just all, and we have the set ready. There's not going to be a whole lot of work that goes into this, but sure enough, there's an enormous amount of work that followed. Came at a good time for me because I was very, very busy, and then had a bit of free time, and we've all just been doing a lot of work and trying to get press stuff and artwork and just all the back and forth to that. But it's a fun process. It's not something I'd like to do too many times, but it's a fun thing to learn about. Today is the 12th of March in my timeline, and the Gravy Waltz is out today, and then the album will be out digitally on the 28th of March, and then we'll be doing an album launch with the physical CD on the 3rd of April in Arthur's, and the 4th of April in Scott's Jazz Club in Belfast. And we're expecting vinyl as well. One of the road bumps we hit was timeline on those sorts of things. So we're going to have a separate vinyl release in the Big Romance, to be confirmed when that date is going to be, but it probably maybe about a month afterwards, towards the end of April or beginning of May, we'll do a vinyl specific release in the Big Romance, because it's a kind of a vinyl bar. Everything's kind of vinyl heavy in there. I was living in Wicklow initially, so I felt very far from it. And when I came into the city then, and I had more opportunities to catch gigs, there wasn't too many going on, and there certainly wasn't many playing opportunities. And although I was only a student, it was really hard to find any opportunities to play anywhere, or jam sessions or anything like that. I played in the International quite regularly. Like Dominic Mullan would give me, he'd call me up when he couldn't do it, and he'd let me put a band in there, which was great. It's great for me to get to meet the players and play with them. But that was it, really. You kind of had to carve out a gig here and there where you could, and they'd be really random, like on the boat, and it wasn't part of a scene necessarily. You might get some people in who enjoy it, and others who were just going about their day. And there was a few gigs like that, but I didn't get a huge sense of a scene at all. And I feel like post-COVID, and I'm not sure if it's necessarily to do with COVID or not, but it seems like people are taking a chance, and there's just a great vibe now. And there's in terms of venues that I get to go to whenever I get a chance, I would go to O'Regan's. I was there last night, and that's an amazing gig, and I'm sure most people know about it. But the level of playing is amazing. Like, the guys it's such a strong band, and anybody who depths for them, there's just always such an energy in that room. Steve Welsh was covering last night, and he's been another fantastic addition to the scene. I remember we held a jam session, a kind of a post-COVID celebration. The bars are open again, let's celebrate and have a jam session. And we used to do very well, like everyone would come down before, and on this occasion nobody came down. I think everybody was still a bit spooked, and no one was really sure what the lay of the land was in terms of Dublin being open again, or the world being open, and what to do about that. But Steve Welsh came through the door and he said, "Hey man, is there a jam session here?" And we were, sorry to disappoint, but nobody's shown. You're more than welcome to sit in. And he was great. We had a laugh. He ended up doing pretty much the whole gig with us. And so the likes of Steve, Dennis, then a couple of years before, he came back from, I think he was studying in Leeds, and it was great suddenly to have all these tenor players suddenly just appeared. There's another bunch of tenor players who've been around for a while, and they've been there and they've been great. No doubt about it. But I guess for the younger guys, you'd nearly be afraid to make these phone calls if you wanted someone on your gig, because you're like, I don't know if I want to make these phone calls. I'm only studying. I don't even. And then suddenly in our scene, in our age group, in the kind of next generation of guys coming through, there was more and more musicians showing up, which is great to see, and that's been adding to the scene. Then Steve has a gig with the Pizza Jazz guys, who are another amazing band, like totally unique stuff that they're doing over here. with Sean Maynard Smith and Darragh Kelly and Brendan Doherty. And that's a really cool gig. And we have the Big Romance then on Sundays, and like you're just starting to see people really respond well to jazz, you know. I didn't, it might have been a coincidence that they were there having a nice evening before, but now people, I feel that people are really listening, and they want to be part of this scene, and it is a scene now. Like I didn't really feel there was much there before. There probably was prior to that. I heard a lot about the scene from, you know, my dad talking about what it was like in the 80s and the 90s and stuff, but I missed all that, so I always had a sense of it's kind of been and gone and you've kind of missed it, and I was sort of just coming up in the interim of all that. But I really feel like it's a great time for jazz in Ireland, and you know, I don't feel like we're so far away from New York anymore. Last night Winter Marsalis was over, and it was such a beautiful gig, such a strong level of music, and then I was making my way home and there was great music coming out of O'Regan's. There was the lads, and you know, you pop in there, and it's amazing to be able to like plan your week out and have so many gigs on. And Arthur's, of course, is the jazz club of Dublin, you know, and like I nearly found myself there every Saturday night now. So and then of course you guys, like, I mean, had a huge input on the scene, especially for the younger students coming up as well. But just in the promotion of the music and having a one-stop shop for seeing what's on and who's playing, and you know, it's really it's tying the whole thing together. It's hard to know. I mean, I got so excited with the recording that we did. I just wanted to do more. We've already got another set worth of stuff that's so, and it's kind of driven us to, what about that tune? That'll be fun. Like, we love doing that sort of thing. We love doing that. So we've already got another, I think we've already got another album ready to go nearly. So I mean, this hasn't come up. The lads are going to be shocked to hear this after the months of slaving away at this. But I would love to do something again. I don't feel like this is a one-off anyway. Personally, you know, I have a few plans. I've started kind of doing trio stuff with Derek White and Shane, which has been a lot of fun. It's kind of taken me into a different place. I've always had the luxury of Darragh behind me, or Johnny or somebody, with covering all the harmony, which has been great, and it's probably kept me away from touching on that on my playing. So the trio has been a lot of fun. We're going to record a little EP in a month and just see, you know, it's just a vague plan at the moment. We'll see what happens with that. And I'm doing a little tour in the Netherlands, going over to catch up with some of the people I studied with over in the Prins Claus Conservatory in Groningen in the Netherlands. And we're getting together in May to do a little tour and just play and have a bit of fun, and kind of get out of Dublin with the music for once in a while, which would be fun. And then teaching over in Tuscany. Stephen Keogh, his festival in Tuscany. Michael Buckley is going to be teaching on it as well. And I believe his son Leon is going to be in attendance as well. And another person to look out for, by the way. Absolutely incredible. And otherwise, you know, Organ Freeman are just going to keep, hopefully, taking away on Sundays in the Big Romance from 6 to 8-ish, 9-ish, and long may it last, yeah.
Make someone happy, make just one someone happy, and you'll be happy.